Hello good people and welcome back to Level Up Your Chess Strategy. It's part 8. Now, if you were to describe chess in its two simplest forms, then it's a game about time and space. Piece activity and tempo gives you advantage in time, and dominating the center squares directly by having more territory in the enemy ranks gives you space. So, if your opponent can't castle and can't complete their development, you are winning time. Soften up the squares around their center, you're winning space. For instance, have a look at this position. Imagine that, let's move back one move. Queen to b6, you're hitting on a b7, and the opponent plays queen to b3, which is a questionable move. It looks natural, but it's not the right move. And you're playing as black as Grandmaster Alexei Driv from the Garry Kasparov era. Is black to play and gain a tiny but noticeable strategic advantage. Let's boost that ELO. Let's get it.
Round 1. Fight!
So this game took place in 1992 in Calcutta. I think in India, white is played by Shetty Rahul and black is played by Driv Alexei. He became one of the super grandmasters late in the Garry Kasparov era, the Kramnik era, and the Anand era. Oh, before we begin, before I forget, if you do find this content tolerable, it's helping you in your chess journey, I'd appreciate a like and sub. You have my gratitude. Let's get started. So today we're going to talk about two concepts: that's open diagonals and weak squares, as hopefully demonstrated by black and by myself. d4, d5, knight to f3, knight to f6. Symmetrical position, but we're not here to talk about openings. It's the strategy behind the middle game and possibly the end game. c4, c6, keeping it solid. If you did take, that becomes a queen's gambit accepted, and it's a completely new game, a universe of possibilities. c6, c takes on d5, knight to c3, knight to c6. We've achieved full symmetry in this queen pawn game. Bishop to f4, and now e6, just keeping things solid. The problem for black is how to develop the bishop, because we're blocking it right now with the e6 move. Bishop to e3, and then knight to h5. It's basically asking, where do you want the bishop to go here? I have the option of captures, and your bishop is an active piece. It's a nice piece. And here, bishop to e5, so that if you do take, you exchange a fairly active piece with another piece that's going to be in the center there on e5. Bishop to e7, bishop to b5, pinning, developing, and now castle. Black finishes development and now just needs to think of ways of how to improve position, also improve this bishop. Rook to c1, bishop to d7, and takes. In this position, you have to think which one you want to take with. Of course, there's more potency in the Grandmaster's move, bishop to c6, because now this bishop is developed. It's not a super active square, but it's also not buried behind its pawns that if you took with b takes on c6. Bishop takes c6, now h3. Few delays in white's position instead of possibly just castling. Queen to b6, black pokes on b2, and here the appropriate reply, and it's awkward looking, but it makes sense after an afterthought. It's rook to c2, just going in a second ranked and not being so reactive to black's move there. Here, protect the second rank, easy, and then likely castle. But instead, after queen to b6, queen to b3 was played. And I want you to have a look at this, because while you're trying to exchange and dilute the position with more minor pieces and the two rooks, you do ignore this square and that square, which allows for a thematic idea that I'll let you guys solve. A very tiny advantage. We arrive at that position for black. What does black do here? The answer in 3, 2, and 1 Black plays a strong queen to a6. Remember, open diagonals, zap through. What does that do? It gives you time. Black, playing as black, you're delayed in time. But now you're punishing white for some kind of dubious moves, because you're zapping through the light square diagonal and they can't castle. And right now this square is a little weak. Int hit nudge nudge. In this position, the opponent ignores that just a little bit and plays bishop to h2, which is another dubious move. 2 minor errors can create just a terrible position. In this position, queen to d1 was the stronger move, and you're admitting to your opponent that, oops, queen to b3 was not very clever, but you need to defend the square. So after that, say rook to c8, a3, you have ideas and ideas, right? So ideas to castle, of course. After bishop to h2, now you pounce on an open, well, currently open file, rook f to c8. The advantage of this is that qualitatively this rook is bad. This king is in the middle. This rook is bad because it's not connected to its other rook. It's not challenging an open file. So by trying to trade off this in the long run, then strategically you're superior to your opponent. Here, rook to d1. And you might be wondering, okay, can white still kind of admit that, oops, this was an inaccuracy and go here? And the answer is not really, because now white's position gets cramped. Knight to f6, eyeing this. Knight to e5. And then now you have bishop to b5, just compounding the advantage there. And if, say, you ignore it, say with f3 because you want to protect e4, then you put the other bishop and slice through the king, and this is an absolute positional nightmare because your king is in the middle and the rook is just currently a pawn. It can shuffle through 2 squares. Why? Queen to b3, trying to attack this, and after takes, it's pretty bad. This position is what you call an opening, blunderous opening. And let's just go a little bit further here. If, say, you decide to take here, then after queen takes, this and this are 2 key ideas here. So after takes, it's just dominating now. Bishop to b4, you can't castle. If you do any tricks here, you lose a rook. You might even get checkmated. Say knight to d3, then queen to a5. If you block, you have the crazy rook to c1. You go down, you lose that useless rook, you take, and of course, a pin happens and you lose your queen, and the game is just in 21 moves is just exploded, and you're done. So, rook to d1 was what the opponent played, and here knight to f6. And here comes the second strategic idea, and it's not fancy tactics, it's the concept of a weak square. We still have a very beautiful control of the light square diagonal, and these 2 pieces are not participating, and the king is thankfully lonesome in the middle. We're not making it develop. Now, what move exaggerates the fact that maybe we can control one of the key squares in the king's in the enemy territory? Specifically, I'm going to just point out this square. What move ruins white's day now that you're like, bro, you're not castling today? What move is that? I'll let you guys figure it out in 3, 2, and 1. That move is the subtle, but very nice knight to e4. And after takes, d takes on e4. It's protected, but more importantly, this pawn does not advance. You have control of f6 or f3, but now you have a very nice control of d3. That will be a very nice advantage somehow. For example, if white is just simply tired of playing defense and tries, say, an active move like d5, then bishop takes, knight takes, e takes d, queen takes d5, then you have this accentuated issue of bishop to b4. And where does the king go? It's just done. It's bad. Bad for business. Rook 2. d2 is what? Rook to d2 is a blunder because that's checkmate. So after d takes on e4, white will continue to suffer. With a3. And now bishop to d5. Now you can't really have this option of a bad counterattack because, well, if you take here, takes, you can't even capture this. Now, black, from this move, or rather from here to here, has gained this much territory and all this tempo. You can't touch this. Queen takes on d5 leads to rook to c2. Threatening mate. You just can't. And after rook to d2, takes, check. See that weak square that you established? And it's just, if we turn on the evaluation, it's mate in 5. It's game over. It's done. So, after bishop takes on d5, e takes d, like I said, white has to just accept the fact that they've relinquished a lot of squares in the middle. And in this position, king to d2 was played. Understanding that, yeah, there's no castling for me. Maybe it's better to just connect the rooks. And a rook to c4. A promising and dominating square. When you get to double here, it's pretty much positional nightmare. It's almost over. Rook to c1. Rook 2. c8. Takes and takes. You're going to launch that like a cannon. Bishop to g3. Queen to c6. Just watch the slow positional torture. Rook to b1. Bishop to g5. Likely pushes here. King to e1. Removing the king from the pin. h5. h4. Bishop to d8. When you can put a bishop in a semi-open position, put it in a square that can access both sides at the same time. Bishop to d8 does that. King to f1. Rook 2. c2. Second rank. Again, exercising the right to the open file. And all-powerful second rank. King to g1. Boom. Just going to go fast here. Now squeezing through. Trying to double up here. This is weak. Boom. Attacking both. You got to take. This is en prise. If you go here, it's still attacked. So defend. And now consolidate. f5. Move. Centralize your king. You don't want to go here because the king's gonna experience a nightmare with that bishop there. King to f1. Move the king. Put all your pawns in the light square because the bishop is a different square color. Boom, boom, push, takes and takes. And now with the b3 move, you could technically play this or this attacking c1. But even with this move, if you take your gaze off of this, you can attack the pawn quickly and indirectly. So any other move leads to rook to b2 hit. Mind you, this is very technical, but this is just slow positional squeeze. King to g2. Attempting the to attack the pin. So king to f1. King moves up. Open check. To f1. And now just blocking. This is up for grabs. And the opponent actually resigned in its position. And why is that? Because, say, after king to g2, takes, just push. And yeah, you're going to lose a bishop. end the game. Quick recap. I'm not going to go all the way to the end game, but I just want to show how it happened, how you got a minute advantage, and how you ruined White's day. d4, d5, knight to f3, knight to f6, c4, c6, takes, symmetrical, boom, threatening to take a long range attacker, castle, hit, you capture with a more active piece and a more promising prospect of an open file, and now hit. You try to poke the position, opponent should play that, didn't play that, and now you deprive them of castling. Open file, or open diagonal. They make another blunder, they lose time. Challenge the open file with the rook. And now just work your way into critical key squares and make them weak. Knight to e4, brilliant. Very tiny advantage, but absolutely critical. Takes and takes, this is now weak. After captures, 2 whopping weak squares. And he dictated the game from there. Tactics arise from superior positions, and in here, less tactics, but a lot of jiu-jitsu squeezing. Anyways, I hope you got something out of this game. I'll see you guys later. It's a little technical. Double peace.